Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. I'm going to be showing you how I paint Christmas baubles, and I'm going to use these paints, which is called mini tin box, and you get a selection of shiny paints. These are handmade honey watercolours, and you get all sorts of different colours. There's also different sets of colours that they do have. Comes in that little box, and also you get that in here. It's called tin box handmade honey watercolours, and there's the CSY art gallery. I will put the information below. This is not sponsored by any means, and it's not an affiliate link, but I will pop it in the descriptions so you'll be able to have a look at them. I do purchase them from Amazon, so you'll probably be able to get them from there. So I have a tissue here, and I have got the drawing already done of the two baubles, and I have got a mixing palette, and this is a plastic one. I don't normally use a plastic one, you know. In my previous videos I use ceramic plates, but as you can see, my ceramic plate is covered in cling. I always cover it in cling film to protect it from any dust in the room. So it's covered in paints, so I don't particularly want to disrupt that, and I don't need all those paints. So I'm gonna grab a small brush, a size 1 round brush, and also gonna grab the Filbert size 6. So I think with those ones I can work quite easily, quite happy with those. In these baubles I haven't done the whole pencil around the edges. Some bits I have missed with a pencil, so which means is I'm going to do invisible edges, sort of, I think it's lost edges, is that's what it's called, on these sections. So the paints I'm going to use are the Moonglow, and it's a Daniel Smith Moonglow. Don't know if I can focus that. This one is like a purple colour, but it's granulating paint, so it's fantastic. This one is a phthalo blue, and it's a Daniel Smith as well. So I'm going to use one for one bubble, and then I'm going to apply the Moonglow on the same bubble on the darker sections, and you'll see the changes of colour that will create. It's beautiful. Now these two are obviously from the sparkly paints, the Handmade, and I'm going to use this green, which is a very bluey green. It's beautiful, and I'm going to apply this as well on the top of the bit, and I might apply it on the middle somewhere, on the little top, I don't know what you call it, where the string and the top of the bauble is. I'm going to paint those in that glittery gold as well. So the ribbons, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the ribbons yet. I haven't decided, so they might be blue, just to keep all the palette the same and throughout the painting. So I'm going to place the paints on my plate, and this is the phthalo blue, so I only want a little bit of this because it does go a long way. So I always use tube paints. I don't particularly like pan paints, but I do use them sometimes. As you can see, these ones are pan paints. So I'm going to apply the Moonglow and I only want a tiny bit. I will add more if I need to, because I don't want to waste it. Now that's gone everywhere on the plate, on the paper, sorry. Now these ones I'm going to have to pick them as I go along. So I've done a swap paper with the paint, so you can see that green, what it looks like on here, and that's the blue. So it's quite beautiful. I haven't done a swap of this one, but you'll see it on the paper once I paint it. So I have jug of water. Right, we're going to start with one bowl. So I'm going to start with the green one, I think, because it's at the top. So I want to wet this edge of the paper, and for that I'm going to need a bigger brush. So I'm going to use this flat brush, and this is a 1/2 inch, and it's a flat wash brush. So I'm going to use that on top. So I'm going to go in the bowl, and I won't go too much around the edges. I will just go in the middle, because if I go on the edges it will create a very hard edge. And what I'll do is I'll bring that paint outwards towards the edge, which will become lighter, so you'll have like a glow effect around the outside of the bowl, not a hard dark effect. So I'm going to go on the outside. As you can see now, I'm going on the outside here. I'm going to go on the edge here. And I think I might go up here as well. Apply lots of water. I don't want it to be a puddle. I just want it to be glossy. So sometimes you have to stand on an angle to see this a little bit better. Just pick up that little bit of dust. I don't know where that came from. Must have been from when I was opening the tube. And it's there again. Let's get it on the paper and then it won't come back again. Okay, so that is pretty good. Not too sure how the green is going to work, if it's going to spread out. We will see if it does. It'd be nice if it did. I'm going to go right to the outside of the paper, like there. Okay. I'm going to pick up this brush, which is the number 6 again. I'm going to wet it, and I need to activate the paint in the pan. So I'm going to go directly with it, activating it. I'm not going to bother about putting it on the palette. Just going to go straight from the pan, pick up the paint and go and place it on the bowl. So I want more paint. That's spreading really nicely. So I'm going to leave that edge a minute and then we'll go back to that. I'm going to wait till see if that will spread a little bit on the outside. So I'm going to apply water there and see what happens. Yes, that's working. So now I'm going to wet my brush and go right on the edge and bring that lighter towards the edge of the bowl. Very carefully. No shaky hands. So clean the brush again and just using the edge of that paint that's there to spread it around to the edge of the bubble. I can't pronounce it. Okay. Right, now I'm going to apply more paint because I want more glow in here. Now this is creating a bit of shine, so we're going to pretend that the light is coming from that direction. So I'm going to lift this paint here, clean the brush in the water and wipe it on the tissue to lift it, because we will go darker as we go along. Now at the moment it's not that shiny, but it will be when I let it dry. I will go over with the paint and create more glitter on there. I could always add another another green as well. Okay. Right, I'm just playing with this paint now. And there's a little bit of dust in there again. I don't know how did that get in there. This always happens. It's quite annoying. Right, got rid of it. So I'm applying a bit of water, and you can see how dark that's gone now. So I'm going to try and not put any paint on the shiny part, not on the shiny part, sorry, in the reflection, to keep that light there. So just going to soften the edge. Try and create that round a bit better. Okay, so just going to soften that edge as well. Just going to try and adjust this edge here because it just went too high, but that's fine. Bit of water, you can see how much you can lift that. It's really good. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry now. And you can't see the bottom of the bowl now. It just looks all the same here, but that's fine. So this has had some time to dry, and you can see now the glitter on here. So if you look at it from the side of the camera, you can see there is some glitter there now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply more, but this time I'm going to do it wet on dry. So because it's dry, I will be wetting the paint and then go over as it is straight from the pan. Before it was wet on wet, like you saw me wetting the paper. Now I'm going to go wet on dry, and it is going to be darker. But I want to create that shape of the bubble. Apply some water to make it spread a little bit because it is quite thick. And I'm not going to go around the edge yet. I'm going to go around the edge down here a little bit because I have got less paint on my brush. wet the brush, and I'm going to go around that edge to make it blend in. Now this has created a hard edge here, so I wet the brush, dab it in the tissue, and I just want my brush to be damp, and I'm going over that edge and make it fade away, so it's giving you a gradual transition from the light to the dark. Wet it again. I can see a little bit more down here. I'm going to go over. It doesn't matter if it goes a little bit dark again here. That's fine. I'm going to go around the edge a bit and push that paint down around the edge. I'm going to wet it again, and that edge has created a hard edge here, so I'm just going to soften it with a damp brush, and being very careful not to touch this section here, which is my light reflection. Okay, so I can add more paint if I want to carry on a little bit more, so make it darker still down here. So I'm going further out a little bit more with this. Damp the brush and go round the edge here to make it softer. And do a circle motion as well. Damp the brush and go round the edge to soften that edge. So where the darkest section is here, on this big band here. I want to go to the bottom as well because it's creating a funny effect at the moment, and I want to get it down here as well so it flows down to the bowl. Always go back with a damp brush and go around that edge so it becomes a nice transition from dark to the light. Okay, right, I'm happy with that, so we're going to let that dry and we're going to see what we can do later on with it. So I'm going to work on this bowl now, and I could change the water because it has got that green glow, but it doesn't matter, that will be fine. So I'm going to wet this bowl, and again I'm not going to go all the way to the edges, so mainly the center and as far as I can to the edge, but not quite. I mean, I could go around the edge if I wish with the water, but not with the paint, and then later on that paint will distribute to the edges. We could try that way, and I'll show you how that works out. So very carefully around the edge with the water, just being very careful that doesn't create a puddle there, because then definitely you will have a horrible hard edge. And when we place the paint, we won't go to the edge, we let it spread to the edge softly, so we'll create a soft edge. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I do it. So I can see around, I missed a little bit, so it's best to always lean over and have a check that you can see that the bowl is being covered nicely around. For some reason I lost that edge there, so I'm going to go over it. It's very easy to go too much around the outside, but you do need to have a look and see where the water is. Okay, that's nicely done. Just going to apply a little bit more in the middle because that's where the paint's going to go. Okay, so now I'm going to use the blue. So the phthalo blue, which it is this one. So I'm going to wet it and place it in the middle of my palette. You can see how intense that blue is. It doesn't show very well on the palette because it is a plastic palette. Ceramic palettes are pretty good at spreading the paint evenly on the plate because the plastic obviously has got a coating and it stops you from the paint shrinks, which it is not very pleasant. So remembering that this is where my glow is going to be, so I'm going to concentrate on this side of the bowl mainly and at the bottom as well. So now I'm going to wet the brush and damp it, and I'm going to go around that edge as close as I can, but let it spread. So wetting the brush, I'm not putting any more paint on my brush because I have plenty of paint here. And then I'm going to go with a very clean brush. And still, you can see how long it takes for that paint to come off the brush. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm just going to use the water now, and I'm going to make it lighter around here. So I'm going to go around the edge and just make it lighter, similar to what I did on the other side, on the other bowl. The shape of this bowl is not quite right here, but I will adjust that later on when I add the colours for the top bit. So we want a bit of that colour. Then I want a bit of blue down here. You can see how beautifully that spreads. So wiped my brush and I'm going to let that tease it. And I'm going to go over here a bit more because I want that dark edge a little bit here as well. Okay, so you can see how that is spreading, so I don't need to put any more paint, so just go with my damp brush and just help it to go to the edge. And you get that glow rim on the opposite side of the bowl. Okay. Really pleased. I'm quite pleased how that's come out really beautifully. So I'm going to add a bit more blue here as well. Oh, sorry about that. That was my ring tapping on the glass. Right, I'm going to help this blue to move a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more up here and make it almost like a round effect shape, sorry, of the reflection. It's very difficult to paint at the same time and talk. multitasking. Okay. Right, so that's coming out really beautiful. And you can see how that stayed blue up there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the Moonglow, and I'm going to, oh sorry, no, I did apply it on the plate, didn't I? So that's okay. So I just pick it from the plate. It's already almost dried. Let's get a bit of water there. And I'm going to go around the edge here. And I'm using a very thin brush. Let the water move the paint. And you'll be able to see how the colours are changing into pinks and greys and purple, obviously. So I'm going to wet my brush again, and I'm going to go around the soft edge here because it's creating almost a dark edge. So I'm just going to move it around so it doesn't do that. This bowl has changed shape for some reason, so I'm going to try and help it to get it a little bit better. And that is utterly stunning. So I'm going to put a little bit more here because it's still wet. That Moonglow that I'm applying on the bowl is spreading. Now I did say I was going to create an edge that will come out of the paper, but I didn't do that with this, so it doesn't matter. We can still do it if I apply some water on the edge. So let's have a look if I can do that. So it might not work, but it might work. Sometimes if you do this at the wrong time, it will just go in instead of out of the paper. So you can see the blue is actually coming out now. Yeah, it's pushing the paint inwards instead of outwards. That's fine, no worries. So I'll just create that soft edge here. Yep. I'm going to grab that blue again. Sorry, my brushes are rolling away. And I'm going to help it a little bit more to come out of the paper. That is lovely. So it's just spreading beautifully here. So you can see that effects, and then I'm going to grab my big flat brush and just wet that area. So I'm just going to create drops of water here, almost flooding that paper. And you can see that that blue is coming out of the bowl. So let's put a little bit more blue. Oops, today's. Apply more blue. There we go. So you can design this however you wish to. And and we're mixing it almost with that glittery green as well. So I want it to come out all the edge here. And then I'm going to clean my brush and just go around the edge. And just soften that edge there of the bowl. Okay, so you can see the colours, how they are changing of that purple is so pretty. So we can keep on adding a little bit more if we wish, make it more intense. Maybe make it come down here a little bit as well. And it's granulating on the paper as we speak. So I'm just going to soften that edge up here, make that bit dark as well, where the string's going to go. The top, the crown, I suppose that is what it's called, isn't it? It's the crown of the bowl, the bubble. Just helping teasing it with a small brush to go around here. So I hope you're finding this video interesting and different, and maybe helpful as well to show you how granulating paints can work with normal paints and how we can create some beautiful effects. This one has come out really, really well. Really pleased how this is working. And you may be able to try it yourselves by getting some Daniel Smith paints are stunning. They are very strong colour, I find. I normally use Winsor & Newton, but I have purchased these paints a while back, and I am, you know, I have purchased these paints a while ago, and are really growing into them. They are beautiful, and you get really strong colours. So I'm very impressed. But I still like my Winsor & Newton, of course. So this purple colour, this Moonglow, I'm just letting it, teasing it away on the edge of the bowl a little bit, but letting it come down to the bottom of the bowl a little bit. So to make like a shadow below. There we go. And you can see the colours are so pretty. They are. You can see some pinks. I'll just show you, bring you a bit closer to the camera. So you can see it has created some soft pinks here, and the purples and the blues are all working beautifully together. I've got a bit of a puddle there, so I'm going to have to sort that out quickly with a tissue. So just dab it. And then I do have a hard edge here. Don't know if you can see it, so there. So I'm going to go with a damp brush and just go around that edge and move it so I don't get a hard edge. and there's another one here. It's very easy to to get hard edges. It happens before you know it, you've got hard edges everywhere. So that's why you always have to apply water further away to where your paint's going to go. But if you still have paint on that water, it's very easy to get hard edge. So cleaning the bowl, cleaning your cup does help with that as well. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get hard edge here. Okay, I'm going to let that dry now, and then we'll define the we'll paint the top bits, the crowns, and come back. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so the paper is dry now, and I have got a clean jug of water. I also changed my tissue here, so I got a clean tissue to work with. What we're going to do is I'm going to paint with this colour, which is called the this one is called Inca Gold, and I'm going to use that one on the top here, on the crown. So I'm just going to apply it straight from the pan. I'm not going to mix it on the palette, just going to work with this here, and then later on we will create a dark section as well, edge here below. So I'm going to paint this, and what I've done also, I have changed the ribbon that's going above. We're going to use some of the colours on the ribbon as well. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to let that dry. Not 100% sure what colour ribbon I'm going to do here. Haven't decided yet. So this one, you can see the granulation, how it has worked so beautifully. So just going to soften that edge here a little bit more to make it, that blue come around a bit more. And the blue has come out on the paper, so that looks really nice. So I'm going to add a little bit of that blue. I'm going to pick that blue again and just work with that around the edges. And just blend it in, because they had like a white section there, which is not what I wanted. So at this stage you can play with it, add a bit more blue, add a little bit of Moonglow. So this is wet on dry, but almost dry brushing, which it is very dry paint on top of the paper that's dry. So being careful that I don't create a blooming effect or hard edge. It should not create a blooming effect because the paper is dry, completely dry. Okay, still white there, I don't know why it's done that. Let's put a little bit more blue, and maybe we'll put a little bit more Moonglow maybe, just to make it the same, come around. Okay, right. So I want that bowl to look a little bit more round down here. Very carefully. Want a bit more Moonglow here. A bit darker. Play with that and brush it. Move it around how you want it to go in a round shape. Right, I'm going to leave that because if I keep on fiddling with it, it's just going to go wrong. So we're just going to leave it now. And I'm going to work on the crown here. So the crown again, I'm going to make it gold. So I think gold and blue is really beautiful together. Okay. And we're going to do the little ring that goes around as well, which I can see. I have double ring here. I created two. I don't know why I did that, but anyway. I think the other one, we're just going to make it with a dark edge and also white, trying to get some reflection there. So this is going to be very tricky because it is very, very small. So what we're going to need to use is a very small brush. Oops. So I'm going to use a 000 brush. It's got a tiny, tiny little tip. So this is just to go around the edge of the ring in a dark colour. And I'm going to wet the brush first. And I think we're going to use the Moonglow because why not? It's quite a dark colour, so it will be fine. So I'm just going to wet the tip of the brush with the Moonglow. I could use Payne's Grey for this, but we'll use Moonglow, keep it the same. So I'm going to go very carefully around the edge of that ring. And because you're making a contrast of dark and light, really intense, it will make it look like metal with a shine. So just very careful teasing that paint. It's very, very dry paint. And then in here as well, so it's underneath. It shouldn't spread with the gold because this gold is quite thick consistency, so it shouldn't do that. Okay, and I'm going to go on the inside of the ring now, because the outside is where the light's coming from. So I just wet my brush and then I cleaned it on the tissue. Okay, and this one is going to have it as well in the inside, so I'm going to put it in the inside too. I'm going to double it there. I'm sort of looking where the ring's going around the other one. You just have to figure it out which way you want it to go. So it's going inside this section, so don't want to paint that bit. So here I need to lift that up. Okay, I need to clean my brush and get rid of lots of Moonglow. And I'm going to move it. So I'm going to use a tissue now to just to lift that bit, because I don't want that Moonglow to go there. I want that white. So I'm going to push the Moonglow down on the crown as well to create a shadow. On this side. So move it around a bit and then make it go down a bit. This can be changed in any way you want. As you go along in the painting, sometimes you need to change ways of that. Yeah, sorry, I cannot talk while I'm doing this. It's impossible. Right, I want to create more shadow here, so I'm going to put a little bit more paint. This is very, very dry paint now. And I'm going to create little dimples on the crown here. To make it look like it's curving a bit. This side I want it lighter, so I will lift that paint a little bit more. Just make a very, very, very light shade. And then darker on this side. Okay, I don't know if this is coming along nicely, but I think it's okay. Just going to add a little bit more paint here. So where the ring's going up, it's going in there, and then it's going inside the other one. It's about there. And there. So creating a round edge, and then we can see, so you can see now that it looks like metal. You can see it a little bit. So I'm going to pick a little bit from this area because it's quite dark, and I'm going to put it on the top here where the ribbon is, and I'm going to create a very, very light edge here. Okay, now that's lovely, I like that. So I'm going to let that dry. Use that green again that we used before and just go around the edge here with the bigger brush, of course. So we want that brush, the Filbert size 6. And I'm going to go around here because I want that dark. And wet it, move it around. And because that blue is reflecting on this, I will probably add a little bit of blue here and see what happens. That will blend in nicely as well. So we wet the brush and make it a soft edge. Again, soften that edge. Now that's changed shape a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Wet again, clean the brush and keep on going around that edge a little bit just to make it lighter and no hard edges. Okay, I'm going to let that dry because otherwise it will lose the whole thing and you will get blooming effects. So we're going to work on this ribbon here, and the colour I wanted to use was the blue. Sorry, the blue and this same colour as the ball here, so the Moonglow. So we're going to use the blue, but I don't want a heavy blue, I just want a very light blue. So I'm going to wet my palette and get that as light as possible. It's a very intense, phthalo blue is very intense. And I just want loads of water just to get it really light. And then when we go with the Moonglow around the edges, it will just go inside into the blue, but not too much. So we'll try and do that. So this is quite wet, but it's wet on dry. So I want that brush a little bit dry because it's a little bit too wet. So, and very carefully with a thin brush, so this is size 1, and I'm creating that edge here. So it's coming thinner towards down here. It's coming thinner. And then it goes in again. And up here. And I'm getting my fingers all over the green that I painted earlier. So let's just be very careful with that. So easily done. Right, so that ribbon is going to have a nice edge there. It's coming down. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go over with the Moonglow, like I said, on the edges. So this, again, we can use this brush or we can use a very small brush. Just go around the side, the edge of the ribbon. Okay, so I painted the ribbon all around the edge here. I'm going to go again with the blue. I want a little bit more blue there. So let's make it a bit more intense. And then I'm going to go again with the Moonglow and hopefully that will spread. That's it, that's what I wanted to happen. So spread more on the blue. It almost creates like a little bit of a velour, like I'm trying to think of velvet. Is it velvety? Suede? Can't think of what you would call it. A velour, I think it's velour. That's what I'm thinking is velour. The material on the ribbons, so you get a velour effect of ribbon. So I'll put a little bit more here. Oops, don't want too much. Okay. And I think I will add a little bit more blue now, just a little bit in places. Just dab it here and there so it will spread. And we can go again with the Moonglow if we want, right on the edge, and watch it do the same effect, which is quite, it's a lot of fun, I think. These granulating paints are brilliant. They're so much fun to use, because you just don't know what colour you're going to get. You know it's going to be a purple colour, but once it's mixed on the paper with other paints, sometimes you get really beautiful effects. So that's made it quite like velour, if you like to say. I hope you like that. Now, not too sure what we're going to do with the other one. We could do the same, so they both look the same. That will be good. So we're going to use again the blue, don't we? So let's try that blue. I'll try and make this ribbon a little bit better than the other one, because the other one didn't seem to make much sense where it was going. The loop around it, around the ring, didn't seem to make much sense, but anyway, it's fine. Okay, that looks beautiful. Now we're going to go with the Moonglow around the edge again. Okay, so we're going to add the blue again in the middle. And then we're going to add the Moonglow. And let that play on with the phthalo blue. So I'm actually mixing it a little bit more inside as well. And that's really beautiful. That's very similar to the actual bowl that I did here, the bubble. Just lighten it up there, because I want to create a little bit of an edge here where the ribbon is overlapping the other one. So trying to make an edge there, there we go. That is about right. And this one needs a bit more here, and this one as well. So it's mixed together, it's made a lovely velvety effect of the blue and the Moonglow. And I will show you that a little bit better so you can see it. So it's made a beautiful velour effect there. So I can carry on playing a little bit more with these colours, and I can add a bit more colour on the background. I can add blues here and let it all spread if I want to. So we can add a bit of water here and make the string come out. There we go, so that's coming out nicely there. around the edge of that ribbon and let it go out. The same here if I want. So take a bit of water in there and let it spread. And the same with this one as well. So touching the edge with the water and it will just come out. It's coming out a little bit. And we can add a bit more Moonglow if we want, a little bit there and there. So we can make this a little bit more colourful. So mixing it all over. A little bit of the Moonglow here, so coming over, a little bit more intense. I'm going to wet all of this actually, and I'm going to do the same all around. Just to make it more interesting, make my painting more colourful, painting the background too. So I want a bit more of that Moonglow coming to the edge here, and it is the lighter side of the paper. I'm creating a dark background. And then in here I'm going to leave it light. So this side we wanted to add the green and the blue, didn't we? So we're going to do that too. A little bit more of the blue here. Just let it spread. And it will dry lighter. So don't worry that you're panicking it's too dark when you do this. If you are doing something similar, just keep on adding water and cleaning your brush if you want it to go lighter in sections. So I want to add a bit more blue here as well. A little bit more blue here. That's coming out beautifully. So we could add the green in here if we wanted to. So at the top a bit of green there as well. So just pick it up from the palette and spread it around. All these colours look beautiful together. Okay, so we're going to let that dry now, and I'll come back to you towards the end. Okay, so the painting is dry now, and you can see how these affect around the edges. It's got lighter as well, much lighter than before, the background. So I can apply more colour if I wish to, but I'm going to try and attempt to remove a little bit of this background here around the ball, because it does look a bit uneven and not refined edge. So with a damp brush, I'm just going to wiggle about And I'm going to try and do it with this brush because I do have an eradicator brush, but it's a little bit worn out and a little bit harsh on the bristles. So I can use it, but I might use it on this bit here because I want to create that the little ring to go over a little bit more. So I'm just going to do it with this size 1 brush just to soften that edge here and make it blend in a little bit better. And you can see that happening now, so it's working well. And it will create a nice soft edge. For some reason the background came onto the ball a bit as well. So I want a little bit of a edge, but not dark. So I'm going to soften it a little bit more. And at the same time soften the background so it blends in there better. This takes a little bit of time to do, but while doing this you'll see a much cleaner painting. And around the edge here as well I can see it. So you can still manage to move the paint sometimes as well with a damp brush. So if there's any paint there that is quite thick, it will move when you activate it again with water. So we're just creating a soft transition there with the damp brush. Get rid of those hard edges and marks that I don't particularly want. Okay. Right, so the edge down here wasn't quite good, so let's fix that. It's looking better. I'm really pleased with that. Just soften this bit. Okay, so that's much smoother around the edge there. So I'm going to try to do the same with the other one. Okay, that's lovely. That's really nice. I'm very pleased how that's coming on. And I think we can leave it here. And I can carry on playing and add a bit more depth if I want to on this section here to create a bit more shadow on the ring. Oops, sorry. A bit more shadow on the ring here, on the crown, sorry, not the ring. Get it right in a minute. But there you go. So that has come out really, really well. And we can remove the tape and appreciate our painting. Now this can be turned into beautiful Christmas cards or a painting on its own. There you go. So you can see the glow of the green bauble. You can see the granulation on the background as well as the bauble here. It's a beautiful effect. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, as you will get notifications when I upload new content. If you enjoyed this video and found it very helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and the videos will be pushed to new viewers that will enjoy it too. So when you subscribe, which I didn't mention, you can ring the bell. Just click on the bell and you get all my notifications of new content. So hope to see you soon, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.